Hey everybody, Questwise here, and today we're going to start the beginning of a new series, which is going to be, I don't know, at least interesting for me. Hopefully it's interesting for all of you as well too. It's going to be about a game and some fiction that I really enjoy and have enjoyed for a long time, and the type of fiction that I enjoy as well too. But we're going to be starting to talk about, I'm calling this a scholarly approach to Robert E. Howard's Conan Adventures in the Age Undreamed of, the RPG by Modiphius Entertainment. But what I want to do is I also want to talk about the actual writings of Robert E. Howard as well. I've talked about this before. I've talked about how I'm a huge Robert E. Howard fan. He's probably one of my favorite authors of all time. And that sort of genre of sword and sorcery. But also because Robert Howard was able to write things, he could write anything and he could do it very well. And I talked about this in a previous video about how, they hired a bunch of Howard scholars in order to use as reference for writing the role-playing game itself. But what I want to do, and this is just an intro video today to kind of build some hype and to help you, get you guys ready for what we're going to do. There's been a lot of research that's been going into this on my part. I've been going back through and rereading all of the Howard tales that I love so much and seeing how they integrate into the game itself. And let me just tell you first off, Modiphius has been killing it, man. They've been doing so well with blending these two together and the way that they approach the game itself and how they're designing the game around the fiction itself and how they approach sort of the game through fiction. I don't know if that makes sense to you. It does in my head, I guess, but how they're using the fiction itself to tell the story and to build you up for the role-playing game, and how everything that they've incorporated into the role-playing game fits within the sort of narrative focus of Robert Howard's works. So what I'm going to be doing in the future, in future videos, and probably starting next week or so, is that we're going to go through and I'm going to discuss some of the stories that Howard wrote and how those things can be explored in the Robert Howard Conan the role-playing game, Adventures in an Age Undreamed of, and how you can incorporate those things to get a much richer and wider scope to your game that feels much like Robert Howard's writings and stuff as well too. I'm in the process of reaching out to some of the scholars that actually were referenced for the role-playing game itself, to maybe have some interviews with them and discuss things that what their part of, what their part was in developing the game, and how they feel the game accurately portrays the writings that Howard had done and his fiction as well. But I mean, that's still a work in progress as well too. So it'd be interesting to have some interviews with them, or at least to be able to Q&A with them and give you some of their answers if they're not available to actually be part of an actual Q&A live session as well too. But I want to take a kind of scholarly approach to this because I think is really interesting. One of the things I really love that Modiphius is doing is that each one of the source books, so Conan the Thief and Conan the Barbarian and Conan the Pirate and on and on, the source books is that it's a snapshot of the world itself and the different areas that sort of exemplify those particular themes in Conan, or in Robert Howard's Hyborian world. But in each one of the source books, they have a fully detailed character sheet for Conan himself in that particular point in his life. So Conan as the thief, Conan as the barbarian, Conan as the pirate, Conan as the mercenary. Soon we'll have Conan as the king. And so it's I think it would be a very interesting sort of approach to do a solo a game with one game master and one player, and the player taking on that Conan actual that character sheet and playing Conan at that particular point in his life, and working your way kind of through the thing, through some of the stories as well. So as using the stories, the actual fiction, as sort of the adventure seed for the things that go, and see how the players would play out Conan and his particular skills in those things, such as like Tower of the Elephant, or the Phoenix and the Sword, and those kinds of stories. It'd be very interesting to see how that plays out. And that's one of the things I want to explore as well with this video series too. But please stay tuned for our scholarly approach to my favorite writer of all time, Robert E. Howard, and the Conan Adventures in an Age Undreamed of role-playing game by Modiphius Entertainment. So until next time, I'm Questwise. We're out.